Hi, Mark van den Hamburg is an applied researcher. His work focuses on improving network organizations through coordination and information management for natural disasters and complex emergencies. He consults for the NGO Cordate and the Netherlands Organization for Applied Scientific Research, TNO, among others.
Data preparedness is very important. It should be an essential part of overall preparedness activities, because the more data is collected before disaster hits, the better you can have your response, because the more you will have accurate and reliable data. And to reach data preparedness, it's important to, first of all, identify the information needs. You need to know of those responding professionals, but also of the responding community. What do they really need to take well-informed decisions? Secondly, it's important as well to have standards, because you will have always multiple stakeholders collecting data. So the more they have common denominators or use a certain hashtag, for example, like is done in the humanitarian exchange language, the more it's easy to bring all the data together. And thirdly, it's also important to have local capacity. Because right now a lot of processes are still paper-based, it's important that local stakeholders know how to work with digital tools, know how to use a smartphone or how to use to develop a basic literacy level in digital technologies. Can explain more about information gaps and information overload. But in order to explain, it's maybe good to identify three groups that are active in the preparedness and in the response phase. You have the community that is affected by the disaster. You have the people within the community that are responding, so that's the responding community, and they are actually usually the first responders. And we have the professional responders, like civil defense or government professionals or people from NGOs. And all these three groups, they need data, they need information to take decisions and to do the right thing after a disaster hits. And actually they often face information overload because there are so many actors. There are many professional responders, there are many people in the community, all those actors produce different data files, they do different assessments. So there's a lot of heterogeneous data available, and it's very hard to bring that data together. So that leads to an information overload. But on the other hand, we also have an information gap, because the data that is available is often data that is already a few weeks old or even a few years, in case of the national census data, for example, from a statistics office. So the data that's really about the local communities that are affected, that's really timely, that data is often missing. So that's the information gap. Yeah, the information gap has a lot to do with the fact that the last mile is often paper-based. So what do I mean with that? If you look at, for example, Bangladesh, you have different administrative divisions. You have the national government, you have then a division, a district, a union and a ward. And often the large part, so the ward or the union level, their local government officials, they collect data only paper-based or by phone, and they write it down. And those processes are not yet digitized. And often they collect the data, they add the numbers up, and then they go to the next administrative level, the granularity of the data is lost. So there is actually kind of a data loss, and often it's not digital. And the same happens actually with NGOs. A lot of NGOs do community risk assessment in the preparedness phase together with the community, and they use big sheets of paper, or even just they do it on the ground. Together with the community, they work on what are the hazards, what are the vulnerabilities, but also that information is only paper-based. We can use science and technology in different ways for addressing the information gap as well as the information overload. One of the ways we can use science is for making a dashboard and using data visualization such that it's easier for the responding professionals to make sense of all the data. You can imagine if you have many data files, that if you put them in a geographic information system, if you do that just as separate layers, it doesn't provide you with much insight. So advances in data science can help to fuse data sets and to really come up with a visualization that helps you as a responder to understand better what's happening on the ground. And the second part of data science, which will be very useful in the future, is using technologies to integrate what's often called disparate data sets. So if you have an Excel file and a PDF file and a Word file, all kind of files in different formats, there is currently technology available, such as data and text mining, that you can use to integrate those data sets and to bring together the common elements out of those different data sets. So it becomes much easier also then to make sense out of all those data sets. So data and text mining and data visualization, those are two very important new advances. Another modern technology we can use to address the information gap especially is to leverage mobile technologies. In developing countries, now the penetration of mobile phones has reached also often 90% or even close to 100%. So a lot of people have mobile telephones, and we can easily use those, of course, to collect data directly on the ground. With low-tech mobile phones, we can use text messaging to collect, for example, local water levels. And with smartphones, we can use an app and a survey to address even many questions.